Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, it's a pleasure, like always, for last 10 years, to be at the CSR Box India CSR Summit. And of course, it's growing, and congratulations to everybody in the team for what they put in every year. It's my privilege to moderate the session in the presence of all the esteemed panelists on a day which is also signifies with a person. Today is the Valmiki Jayanti as well, and very interesting stories how a Ratnakar, a dacoit, became a sant, wrote a Ramayana ultimately because he was able to reimagine the life, and he had few people who guided him along the way, and he wrote Ramayana, which became the foundation for the Hindu culture itself in a way. So on a very auspicious day, we are doing this session, and which is completely linked to our theme as well. The session is planned a manner that we will have initial 1 or 2 minute of thoughts from each of the leaders here, and then we'll go into a few questions. And of course, since we have sufficient time, as I can see right now, about 44 minutes, then we will definitely open up this for all of you to ask questions as well. You can either ask a directed question to any one of them, or you can pose it to the panel. So coming back to the topic, it's a very important and interesting topic, and there are three facets to it. One is, of course, the reimagining education, the CSR, and the Viksit and skilled. So these 3-4 words, if you break it down, you'll have to really see what is in it, in each word of them, and what we are becoming to. So of course, education is one aspect where we have about 15 lakhs schools and 45,000 universities and colleges. We have close to 30 crore kids in schools and almost a crore plus in higher education. We are talking about an economy which will be a 3 trillion economy, 5 trillion economy, and ultimately by 2030 a 8.5 trillion kind of economy, right? If we want to go there, the most important part is the human resources, and that human resources developed through the education and skilling. That's why I feel this session is very important, and redefining the education the way it is right now in India is also very crucial for us. So I'll open up for the first question, maybe for the introduction. I'll start with Neeraj, with you. If you can introduce the amazing work which you have been doing for over 2 decades now, and then I'll come to the other panelists.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Ashish. Absolute pleasure to be here, and especially this is a unique panel. I'm say unique because whenever we have gone somewhere to speak, it is either on education or on skill. So this is education and skill for Viksit Bharat is very apt and timely. Apt because without skill, there is no future. And without education also there is no future. If you put education and skill together, then we are talking about Viksit Bharat. There are 2 things that I would like to highlight, and then we will take it up further. First thing is, we have seen the whole education as an institutional process, but to us it is also an individual process. Education is actually about individual, because different individuals have different perspective to education. Second part is into the completing educational spectrum. When I say educational spectrum, in a very simple language, it is completing from starting from class 1 to completing your class 12th and graduation and post-graduation and specialization into things. Higher you go, better is the chances of doing well in life. Lower you remain, very smaller is the chances of doing well in life. Now, if we understand these 2 things, completion of education becomes very, very important. So what we take for granted for us, our families and our children, that they will complete class 12, they will go for a specialized education, that is not true for the vast majority of this country. When 93% of land and 70% of the population is in rural areas, completion of education is a big challenge. Completion of education is a big challenge because of distances, because of teachers, number, and all that. We can go on and on and on. But what are the models that completing education is important? For us, we have set up a model which ensures that we work with a child for 8 to 12 years minimum, handhold them and establish education to employment link, and ensure that it is last generation in poverty for that child. So the child is not dependent on any government support in the next generation. So this is what we are doing. I would love to talk more about it, but that's the introduction at this moment.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. May I request the CSR box team to please ensure that there is so much of noise from the back. If you can help us in reducing it. Yeah. So coming to you, Vijay, if you can also introduce, he is PW Foundation.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought he's from PwC and I'm gonna be with a competitor, but then I realized he's from Physics Wala. So that saved me.
Yeah.
So please, over to you, please.
Thanks, Ashish, dear fellow panelists, esteemed guests. Thank you. I'm honored. This is the first time I'm attending a CSR box event. I'm told it's been around for a little over 10 years. So honored to be here. I'll just take a minute or two to just give a little bit of background about PW and the foundation and our theory of change. So PW is a youngish company. About Physics Wala is about 1600 days old company. Has been in the news for raising investments more and more, 1, 2, 3 billion type valuation. And it's one of the rare companies that were founded during COVID times. In fact, during the lockdown, the company was founded by two entrepreneurs, Alak Pandey and Pratik Maheshwari. Both of them, Alak Pandey has been an educator for a long time, and Pratik Maheshwari a technology person. So it's a new new age edtech company designed to address the bottom 80% of India. So that's where the role of PW Foundation also becomes very important. So most of the education technology companies or education companies are designed for making rich better. If you have a lot of money in your pocket, you say, oh, my child needs good education, put more money behind education, and there you go. You get good quality education. However, if you carefully look at the bottom 80% of India, the challenges are immense. I mean, probably, we can spend a few weeks talking about the challenges, but our idea was to not talk about just the challenges, but also be a part of the solution. So soon after the main company was formed, in a couple of years, PW Foundation was set up with a view of democratizing education at scale. That's where, our vision or the founder's vision has been that we will provide education, good quality education to every child in India, regardless of how much money the parents have in their pocket. I'll give you some examples. Currently, PW is India's largest education services company, has more than 5 crore active users on the platform. Out of 5 crore, 4.5 crore users are completely free. So it's like, of course, it's still, we have a big challenge to tackle. People do need a mobile phone, and it's a mobile first company. So you don't really need laptop or tablet, etc. to access content. So we still have a challenge of providing devices, providing internet. In fact, the challenges to our engineering teams are of very different order. Normally what we have seen is it takes about 5,000 to 6,000 rupees worth internet bandwidth for a child to study through the year. So our challenge to engineering team is that can you reduce this 5,000 to 500? Can you ensure that internet almost becomes internet bandwidth becomes like water, and also our systems are very much optimized. So that being the background, and in terms of presence, we are present in more than 105 cities, about 190 centers. India has 98,100 and a few pin codes, out of which 19,130 something, out of which 19,000 plus pin codes have our students studying. And on an average, our student studies for more than 90 minutes every day. So that's the kind of change that we want to bring about. Through the foundation, we have partnered with a few state governments, a lot of NGOs, taking good quality education where even internet is not there. Maybe later I'll talk about some tech innovations. Just last point here, our theory of change has 4 pillars. Saying that, we talk about Viksit Bharat, we say, everybody has a vision, saying how I want to see a great future, my country as a developed country, no child left behind, every child getting good quality education. Our 4 pillars are as follows. One for education and skilling, sir. One is through technology. One is the second pillar of theory of change is through teacher. The third is through entrepreneurship. And the fourth and most important of it all is through emotional support. Many people say that, oh, why are you talking about emotional support? We are talking about hardcore numbers. Your child has to come first in IIT and first in medical and all that. I mean, in general, culturally, we are a very, very competitive nation so far as academics are concerned. But we believe, and we found this huge gap, saying that without appropriate emotional and social support, the education just goes for a toss. Even if the child becomes like a great achiever, we are talking about only half a human being. So that's our 4th pillar. So teacher, technology, entrepreneurship, and emotional support are the vectors around which we have been working, designing programs, reaching out to large number of people like lakhs and crores to see a Viksit Bharat in coming years. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you so much. Interesting, the technology part, and I will definitely come back to you for that. Navdeep, coming to you, if you can also introduce yourself and the company. Very interesting brand you are presenting anyways, and the work which you do in the CSR space.
Thanks, Ashish. I'm Navdeep. I am part of sustainability team at Diageo. For Diageo, I think there was a moment during the COVID and immediately after when the COVID happened, we saw huge disruption in our value chain, especially on trade. The bars had a huge disruption because people gone back and they were not coming back and joining the industry. So our journey on bringing people back started with a project called Raise the Bar. So we basically started a support program where we helped the bars to start up again. They needed people. And there we found one opportunity that there is a gap of skilled bartenders, skilled manpower for hospitality sector. So generally in the hospitality sector, it's mostly on-the-job training. You hire people and they are trained on the job. I mean, even for a thing like napkin folding is actually given a training on the job. There was no program called napkin folding, right? But that's one skill which a person who will join the hospitality sector, they needed. So similarly, if you break it down, there are so many aspects. In this hotel also, we see every person who is serving here has a unique skill for the hospitality sector. But there were not such curated programs for people to have that kind of skill. So like you said, education and skill are two things which empower or build confidence in the person. Imagine somebody who's got education and walks into this hotel to get a job and does not have a skill even to the extent कि एक bed कैसे बनाया जाएगा, right? अगर वो skill उसके पास है, वो इस hotel के gate से confidently अंदर आ जाएगा कि I know how to make beds. Housekeeping, we don't give a damn to housekeeping, but that's also a skill. And productivity in housekeeping, how many beds are made by a person per day when a 12 o'clock checkout happens in a hotel and the next guest is waiting in the lobby? You know, how efficient, how clean, how meticulous I am as a bed maker, as a housekeeping team. I think those are very, very fine things which we picked up. And I think that's a focus area which I'm kind of focusing on. That skill which empowers you to walk into any job and then make you a confident person to walk into any other job if you don't like that particular job. So it's not just the education and the skill, but the confidence and the empowerment, which is also important when we are talking about Viksit, skilled Bharat. It's just not skill, it's the confidence also, it's the empowerment also, which needs to be part of the journey. Your fourth pillar is absolutely important. I'll talk about more, but I think we'll continue with the conversation.
Thank you, Nadi. Very interesting. Coming to you, Ria. 1 minute for you to introduce and talk about your work.
Sure, thanks Ashish. First time for me also to be at CSR Box, so happy to be here among all of you. Better? Is this better? Yes. Okay, first time for me also to be here, so very happy to be among the panel. My mandate is also about corporate communications and including the CSR investments that I look. The recent report that was released by the Ministry of Stats in India, that basically says that the unemployment rate among graduates is 9%, 9 times more than those who cannot read or write. So that brings me to the basic question is, what is the purpose of education? Because this kind of challenges our belief system, the traditional belief that education or higher the education leads you to a better job. Is that really the case today in India? Is something that we need to talk about. So taking from that, happy to learn from your experiences to see how we can integrate, come together, to see what we can do as part of the ecosystem, as part of CSR, also with the help of our partners sitting in the audiences to reimagine really the education and to kind of lead to a progressive country.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you so much. Just maybe 2 facts. One is, as per the NEP 2020, we were supposed to allocate about 6% of our GDP to the education and the skilling. But last budget, we just allocated about 1.7% of it, which is about 1.5 lakh crore rupees for the entire education, skilling, for ITs, for NITs, everything, right? For a country where we aspire to become a 8 trillion economy by 2030, and we are inviting the world to India, right? So this is a very important thing. You can make a highway, but if you don't have a skilled driver, but only an educated driver, what will happen to you is you know that, right? So we need both right kind of education and right kind of skill set to drive a car on that highway. Same thing is with the Indian economy. If you want to become a big Viksit Bharat in next 5 or by 2047, we need to have people who are rightly educated, rightly have the right set of skills. The way NEP again says that you can have a 1-year diploma, 1-year certificate after 12th, and after 2 years you can have a diploma, and after 3 years you can have the degree, and then you can exit at any point of time. I think for a country like us is a very important structure which they are trying to create. I'll come back to more facts and a few more elements to it, but I'll go back to the panelists now again coming back to you, Neeraj. Primarily, what do you see as the barriers in this space which will push back India to become a Viksit Bharat, Viksit skilled Bharat? So what are those barriers and how are you overcoming them in your work?
Yeah. To us at Arvind Foundation, we have identified the biggest barrier is that very few people in the educational spectrum are completing the spectrum. That is class 1st to 12th, that very few. Let me share some numbers, and I don't claim that these numbers are specific. But when we started this program about 15 years ago, we realized that only about 6% of the children enrolled in class 1 were completing class 12th. Around 5 years back, this number increased to about 17%. Even, and I was talking to Ashish ji yesterday and we worked it out, the number doesn't seem to be over 30%. What are the challenges? So this is one problem that almost about 2/3 of our kids are not completing class 12th. That's one barrier that they must complete if they have to be a contributing citizens to this country. Second biggest challenge is the timeline. That this completion of education must happen by the time a child turns class 18th. बूढ़े तोते से आप बात नहीं करवा सकते हो. By 20 years, the person must complete. So you are running against time. That's second challenge. When you look at these two challenges, the difficult part is how do you do that? Completion of education, the third challenge is that there are different boards and everybody is doing things differently. Now, when you look at data, when you look at completion, non-completion, and when you look at this timeline, and making this country a Viksit Bharat, and we becoming the we are fifth largest economy, and I'm sure we are going to be third largest economy very soon, $5 trillion economy. Technology and education do not make you that. The people do. And if 70% of our population are not contributing to the Viksit Bharat dream, then, and not contributing to the economy, then what happens that the country starts contributing to their future journey of life. When they don't contribute, the country has to contribute. And you look at it from the number that in today's time, everybody is at least going to live for 80 years. The health situation is going, at this moment it is 70 years around, but in future that is how it will be. So we are leaving our children to live a miserable life for next 60 years at least. That's the biggest challenge. At Arvind Foundation, we have looked at it more holistically. We consider education as a program and not a project, not an event. Just the way we handhold our children in our families, we have to handhold the children who are not so fortunate. We have set up a supplementary education program where kids come to us 2 hours every day, about 200 days, 400 hours for almost 10 years. This is before and after the school. Once that happens, we have seen that all children who have come to us and established themselves about 70-80% attendance, they have started turning doctors, dentists, MBAs, engineers, artists, musicians, dancers, all that. What happens that the challenge doesn't stop here. When you are working for this long period, it's a very costly process. And my board asks me, what is the unit cost? I think all of us are. Our answer to that question is that I am at this moment spending 35,000 rupees per child per annum. And if I have spent that for 10 years, 3.5 lakh rupees, my child gets that thing in 6 months. Our average salaries are ranging from about 20,000 rupees to 80,000 rupees. And if that child is earning that, the money is not coming to me, but money is coming to the society. And that money is then contributing to Viksit Bharat. One very important thing that has happened to the concept of Viksit Bharat, which was not earlier, and that gets onto our timeline concept, is that earlier we had programs which were intents. Now we have programs which has intent and a timeline. So Viksit Bharat cannot happen forever. Viksit Bharat has to happen by 2047. And if that is the case, I see our program aligned and our program connected. There are three, now every 10 years we review our process and every 10 years we see how we will move forward. We have identified 3 pillars. First is the continuance, that is C. Second part is advancement of aspirations. And third part is tracking through technology. So this is our CAT for a Viksit Bharat, and that is what we are following now.
Interesting cat. so many acronyms, but that's a very interesting one. So I'll come to you, Vijay, primarily again to focus on the technology part, which is very interesting for a country where every third child is deprived of a device or access to internet. What do you think that a company like yours can do to overcome those challenges?
Thank you. I think you also mentioned about, a couple of hurdles, the big hurdles. So one big hurdle, I'll come to technology a little bit later. The fundamental challenge with the Indian education system, and I'm going to say this a little bit candidly because I see a lot of, interested audience, is, the quality of teachers, the number and quality of teachers in India is not where it is supposed to be. If we are talking about Viksit Bharat, if we are talking about developed nation, we need to, India needs very, very competent set of teachers, which currently is missing. And I'll put stick on the ground and say that, of course, there's no disrespect to teaching community. There are few very, very good outstanding teachers. But when we look at the length and breadth of the country, if you want to see, because every village needs good teacher. It's not that, teachers need to be in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore, and Hyderabad, and other places, big cities only. So the teaching quality and quantity, the teacher capacity, so to say, is a big, very, very big challenge. And what we have sort of tried doing, because technology at the end of it all, technology is only an enabler to the end. So if end is Viksit Bharat, we need good quality teachers. We are not getting good quality teachers. There are many ways to solve this problem. We've met a few not-for-profit organizations which are doing fundamentally very, very good job in capacity development. There are people who are wanting to attract. UGC has done a great job trying to get professors of practice, people from industry to academia and so on. So there are people, the government and other machineries are trying to get good quality teachers and also improve quality of teachers to a certain level, helping us realize the vision of Viksit Bharat. Having said that, currently, if we look at the numbers, it's mind-boggling. I mean, 30 crore students, right? We take 1:30, 1:35 type ratio. We're talking about 80 lakh great quality teachers. Do we have 80 lakh teachers in India? Good quality? Put your hand on your heart. The answer is no. Second, we talk about 4.2 crore students studying in higher education ecosystem. You take a ratio of 1:20, 1:18. We are talking about 20 to 25 lakh professors, readers, lecturers, good quality higher education faculty. Do we have? Maybe yes, maybe no. So how can technology, so we thought about it, and one of course is to be a part of the problem, saying, oh, poor quality teachers, fewer teachers, not everybody is motivated. I mean, people talk about Finland. You go to Finland and you say that I'm a teacher, people will stand up and give you a seat. They'll invite you to your home. They will say that, oh, teacher meaning like next to God. You go to India and say I'm a teacher, they'll say, "Acha, kuch aur nahi mila tumhe kya?" So see, that's the fundamental difference. It will take probably a generation or two generations to make this shift. However, coming to the point, sir, is how technology can make a difference. So technology, as I mentioned, is an enabler. So we have done some experiments. See, one of the things is to say, teacher nahi hai. The other thing is to say, can one teacher be reimagined, like education being reimagined or skilling being reimagined differently? Can one teacher take a session for more than a standard classroom of 40, 50, 60, 100, 200? And it's not something that I'm saying as a concept, sir. We have delivered it. Some of our classes have as high as 40 to 50,000 students attending one live class. And so that's one way of solving the problem of teachers. And in such classes, there are like 50,000 students. There will be 20 teachers who will be sort of invisible, looking at the engagement with the students, and one star teacher who will be actually like a performer. So, I mean, you look at 50,000, it's like size of a football stadium. So that's the kind of reimagination we need to ensure that, with fewer teachers, great teachers, we are able to take good quality education to the masses. Also talking about technology, this all this Gen AI, Chat GPT, etc. We realized that a lot of doubts of students are repetitive in nature. See, if I'm not able to understand entropy or third law of motion or thermodynamics related some problem, then I may have 50 questions in my mind. And the challenge that we've realized is that a lot of teacher time gets consumed in solving individual student problems. So we say, okay, can we automate this? Can we just ensure that we have different classes of problem? And every day we generate more than 12,000 hours of content. Every content is rated. You want to know about kinematics. So there may be 500 videos of kinematics, but the videos which are most loved by students, so it's like Uber type system. So students rate the teachers in our system. Traditional system, teacher comes and says, oh, good student, very bad student, very good student. We say that, students, you tell us which teacher is the best. So you tell, great teacher gets from 1,000 students to 10,000. Greater teacher gets 10,000 students to 40,000 students. So that all that is done pretty much using technology platform. The last point, sir, if you allow maybe half a minute more, is around a similar aspect of emotional support, which we believe is equal to academic intervention. It is not less. You go to any teacher, any parent. Teachers say, oh, you study first, other things will come later, because this is about your career. The child goes and says, my mind is blank, I'm not able to focus. You say, no, forget all that. Study is very, very important. If you don't study, you'll fail. If you fail, then it's all very negative thinking. Then the child says, oh, I have a relationship issue. You say, oh, relationship, you're only 18, you're only 16, But the world has changed. The children children are like younger adults, right? So they have all these issues, and I'm not saying through conjecture. We have done deep analysis of data of a few 100 crore doubts of students, not like 5 lakh, 10 lakh doubts, a few 100 crores, and we have realized 43% of doubts of students are non-academic in nature. And we keep saying that, oh, education, skilling, just give knowledge, how they should. So that's like being a machine. But then, what is going on in the head is that, I'm just not feeling confident about myself. Now, whose problem it is, right? It is everybody's problem. It is my problem. If I'm a teacher, my child is not feeling confident. It's not just about knowing. It's not just about doing. It's about getting good personality, good character of in the students through educational and skilling interventions. So technology plays a big role in these two aspects.
Very interesting, Vijay. Primarily physics wala and a technology platform, caring about the emotional and the learning. That's I think the key for having a strong workforce in future. Coming to you, Navdeep. Primarily, I would like to know more about your skilling model and how you are contributing. What is the scale of it? What are the models that will be, I'm sure, enlightening for the others.
Yeah, thanks. For skilling for Diageo, we have a program called Learning for Life. And within that Learning for Life, we primarily focus on business and hospitality skills. There are 3 dimensions of our skilling program. One is let's call it a vanilla business as usual. You have a training center where there is a NSDC certified course, 300 hours, and students from different backgrounds come in, and they are able people. They come and undergo that training program. More than 50% must be women in that program. The second program is purely all-women batch. So it will be completely focused on all-women batch, and the idea, as Vijay is saying, is to give them that platform, to give them that confidence, to empower them. It's not just about skilling. So skilling is definitely important to have a foot in the door, but once you have a foot in the door, you need to sustain that foot in the door. So I think that's all-women batch which we run. But the one which I am absolutely proud of is the skilling program for people with disability. And within that space, I know when we look at people with disability, we generally look at locomotive disability, somebody with half limb or something. We deliberately focused on people with speech and hearing impaired people. And we were utterly surprised. Last year, we trained about 110 of them. It's a residential program. Uh, First of all, to convince parents to let their children go and stay outside the home, outside that comfort zone, and be independent individual, take care of themselves. Apart from what happens in the training, how to lay a table, how to do the napkin folding, whatever, but to be yourself. And also not pity yourself because you have people like you in that batch who are living with you, giving you shoulder, giving you hand, and they are super active in their communication. Super active in their communication. So we train them, and like Paralympics, we got huge medals. The first batch was picked up by Taj Corbett at Jim Corbett. And that actually changed even Taj philosophy by hiring those people. And this year's national anthem was actually by those kids in the sign language. And then we had JW Marriott coming in, then we have Royal Orchid coming in, Compass Group, which runs the cafeterias for Microsoft and Google. They came in. JW Marriott, they started sending their crockery so that it's a real training. They feel the weight of the plate in this hotel is different than what you have in a normal training center. We opened up in Bangalore, second one we have in Noida, second in Bangalore. We are getting huge response from hotels. And at the National Association of Blind Bangalore, the chairperson, he actually said that when we were discussing about training these speech and hearing people, he said, we thought that they will go and work in small hotels. But he said they changed our thought process that no, they will work in 4-star, 5-star, and we will train them according to that. And that's exactly the response we got after that. So when we are talking about Viksit Bharat, I think inclusivity is also very important. Let's not leave them behind. That's Diageo is absolutely proud of. 110 last year, 300 is already going on, and hopefully 500 next year. So we'll probably end up training about 1,000 people with disability, and it costs almost 10 times from a normal training program. And we took that call, and thanks to my management, they agreed to that call. It costs 10 times to train people with disability, but it is actually transforming the whole family. It's not just that one person, it's whole family get transformed from where they were and where they are. And that's what we are proud of.
Very interesting, Navdeep. And of course, the impact of it on the workspace, which happens, is amazing. We also have hired few persons with special abilities at the EY office in Gurgaon. And the kind of positivity it brings into the workplace is a different story altogether. I think I always say that maybe the people on the DEI front, many of them are ready, maybe corporates are not ready for them. So that's another angle which we always have to work on while we are looking to have more inclusive workplaces. But very interesting, thank you. We are coming to you, and basically the question which I want to ask you is, what are the global models of integrating skills with education, which India can look up to and adopt in our ecosystem?
Sure, Ashish. So taking from what Neeraj said, as you come to the secondary level, we drop a lot of students there. And I think that's a critical stage where we need to keep that intervention going, or that attachment with the learning system. Not just in terms of education, because like you said, people have different ways of learning, right? And there could be several factors that would affect them not to continue into the system. So to answer your question, Ashish, what we've adopted in places like Thailand and Indonesia, and that's their schooling system, by the way, where they integrate something like a vocational training at an early age. So the program that we run in Indonesia, in Bali especially, which thrives on tourism, which depends a lot on tourism, is to tie up with something called as SMK, which is an equivalent of ITI in India, but not focused just on technical education. They have agriculture, they have tourism, and various other things. So as you go through your school journey at around 8th and 9th grade, which is equivalent to our maybe 14 or 15 years, you break into the vocational school to think about what skills and where do you want to go. So while you're doing your education, you're also learning the real life skills which are needed in the job market. And before they put together the curriculum, of course, they do a study in terms of what is needed there. So the one batch that we're running in Bali actually includes 250 selected students of the Parivisata, which means tourism school. And it's the oldest tourism school which was set up in 1947 to work with them and to kind of connect them with something like a Marriott hotels chain, which runs 27 hotels in Bali, to give them real life experience, real work experience, maybe through internships or exposure visits, so that by the time they get their completion certificate and then they finish their 12th grade, they can directly go and work into the hotels. So we did a back study in terms of what are the key skills, housekeeping, kitchen services, that's there, customer care, which is very important, and as basic as English learning, because Bali does not support English. And you have global tourism, global travelers going to Bali, so the language becomes a very critical barrier there. So we added English on the request of the school, which we had also not realized, but that's what we learned during our research. So these are some of the models that could be adopted here. Like when I saw the session that was going on in Bali. Now in India, when you talk about I am learning through ITI, people generally have a little, not so great feeling about you. कि अच्छा IIT में नहीं गया तो IITI में लग गए. We have that little demeaning sort of a thing. But there, one of the general managers who was on the panel of the Marriott Business Council, who heads Renaissance there in Ubud, he was a graduate of the tourism school where we are doing the project. So proud, he was so proud, and he actually came to the ceremony of the launch ceremony and addressed people. So I think we have different value systems. There's a certain amount of pride when you also not graduate from the traditional or the regular schooling system that we have here. Coming to Thailand, Ashish, with the other model that I was talking to you about, and that's taking from you, Vijay, how entrepreneurship is built into that system. As early as 12th and 13-year-olds, when you're in 6th and 7th, they have school projects which the students work on. And this is taken from the community. So in Thailand, they have a very community-driven school system where they could be known for art, they could be known for food products, or as basic as, say, agriculture, mushroom farming, for example. So the students who are interested there are formed into groups and they're given training. So the other program that we're running in Thailand is to kind of work with these school groups, which is typically 10 to 25 student cohort, and give them a hands-on training of what an entrepreneurship means. Marketing, market linkages, how to strategize, how to raise finance, how to even package your product when you're selling it. And then how do you connect it onto the intranet or to the local fairs to create that income for you. And that's a schooling system. This is nothing that we are kind of, introducing there, but just leveraging what they have. So I think something like that, if we adopt it here early on, I think we'll do a wonderful job here.
Thank you for sharing those examples. They are very interesting. So we have about 4 minutes left and we have 4 panelists, so we can have 4 questions coming from audience. You can raise your hand, tell about, say your name, your organization, and ask the questions. Please, CSR box team, volunteers, if you can help. Two from this side and 2 from this side.
हाय, मैं लता झा ग्रीनो सोनिक फाउंडेशन से, और हम लोग एनवायरनमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी पे काम करते हैं. और मैं ज़्यादा तो बोल नहीं सकती, लेकिन 83% ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज़ जनरेटेड इज़ टोटली वाटर बेस्ड. और ऐसा ग्लोबल स्टडी में पाया गया है कि बाय 2040 देयर इज़ अ थ्रेट ऑफ कमिंग डाउन द GDP बाय 40% बिकॉज ऑफ द वाटर स्कैरसिटी. सो सिंस हम लोग तो उस पर काम करते हैं तो मैं तो बहुत कुछ बोल सकती हूँ, बट राइट नाउ मेरा सिर्फ एक यही रिक्वेस्ट है, आप सभी लोग बहुत बढ़िया काम कर रहे हैं, क्यों ना वाटर के लिए आप अपने एजुकेशन में कुछ एक सेक्शन रखें कि बच्चों को उस पर भी आप ट्रेन करें कि कैसे पानी बचाया जा सकता है और कैसे पानी बढ़ाया जा सकता है. रूफटॉप रेन वाटर रिचार्ज इज़ अ वेरी गुड सिस्टम विच एवरी हाउस और एवरी बिल्डिंग स्ट्रक्चर कैन हैव. So anything if you require on this, I'm there to.
Thank you, ma'am. Very interesting point, and very something which we have to, as educationists in this space, we must talk about this.
और एक मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे, बड़ी कंपनियां, आपके पास अच्छा CSR फंड है, क्यों ना एक छोटा फंड आप एक वाटर के लिए डेडिकेटेड रखें. So this thing, even Mr. Bhomik Shah has addressed that. We are going to request people that you should have a dedicated fund for environment.
Yeah. So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay. You should do some
Hello.
lottery system here. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Atul Bhatnagar. I'm from the Pan IIT Alumni Foundation. I was previously with the National Skill Development Corporation, so I'm very happy to hear the word skill being used a lot today. My only request is that we have to any kind of skill development we do, we need to put in the industry in between. Otherwise, what is happening is, I fully agree that there's technology is enabler, etc., but we have to kind of create something for the manufacturing side. So we've got some Gurukuls running, and we've got Kalyan Kaushal colleges in MP and in Jharkhand. We are going into states where the Human Development Index is low. Our aim is primarily to create a vocational skill quality education, being IITians ourselves, to the underserved. And now we're getting to UP, Bihar, and Assam. Now, what we want is support from any one of you or all of you on how we can create this workforce from the, literally from the tribal areas, very frankly. Yeah. From the underserved, when I say underserved, the only two criteria that people have is poverty and a merit. That's it. So you can.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We will. If anybody has a question, please go ahead. We'll definitely connect with both of you. Sorry, I'll go to the back. That lady has been standing for some time. I'll come back to you, please.
Thank you so much for all what you all are doing. I think each one of you are really extending yourselves towards really building a stronger next generation. I want to just add one more thought out here. We are talking about school dropouts, completing of education. We are talking about socio-learning through socio. We are talking about making sure the children are ready for the future. What's really crucial, what I feel, what we really should talk about is adolescent sexuality. We should be talking about the fact that most children are dropping out of schools because they themselves are not able to traverse this new digital literacy space which Viksit Bharat is also bringing. So with Viksit Bharat, you have digital literacy, and you also have every child should have the net, the internet connections which are going to become cheaper. How about instilling and really making sure that we have a very strong education program so that every child can really learn to understand their bodies and how they can make sure that they complete school. Because so many children are dropping out because if they've fallen in love, or they have eloped, or because they have fallen prey to predators, and because, and so they're not reaching their full potential. So I would really, we are from the Missing Link Trust. We're working on prevention of child sexual abuse and exploitation. I didn't mean to talk about my program. I'd be happy to know if anybody else is working in this space, but we would really like to extend the work we do, and we'd love you to incorporate that in all the work you do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So we are done with questions. Ria, you wanted to answer?
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. So just my experience, going back 10 years in my career, we were working with schools in Mumbai, and these are public schools, right? So I took upon myself and I interviewed teachers and principals from 55 schools in Mumbai, public schools, okay, purely free of cost and all. And then they told me what are the areas or the pain points that they have, and we said we'll address those. So we brought in partners. We brought Magic Bus to do sports for education. We brought Teach for India to focus on sustainability or teacher training. We brought in certain people to work on the emotional side of it, what you just mentioned. Some nutritionists to work with the mothers to give them all of that. It worked brilliantly. That was it, right? When I moved to city, we had larger budgets. We thought we should do this as a regular school program. Why only Mumbai? Go to other schools. But trust me, it did not work. Because I think it's the mindset of the NGO that they are in certain competition with each other. They don't have a collaborative mindset. And I'm sorry to say this. But I think, if we are talking about reimagining and if you're talking about collaborations and partnerships, we need to be beyond ourselves. Collaborate on a very different level.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are done with it. I have got some players from the CSR box team already. Thank you everybody for the patience listening, and thank you the panelists for your time and the kind of work which we have done, 3 sessions and multiple rounds of calls and everything. Thank you so much. See, this is a very long journey. The data can move as we wish, but it will require a lot of efforts to bring in real change at the ground level. So let's keep working on that. It's an ocean. We are the drops. So let's continue our efforts. Thank you so much, everyone.